Um, I am just going to share a little bit, kind of out of my own prayer closet, kind of our whole competing from the Holy of Holies, or how we do things. So we'll get back into our Matthew 16 from where we left off this fall, and we kind of had some breaks, and so next time we'll plan on getting back into that. But I wanted to share kind of just some things that God's been speaking to me and what's been heavy on my heart. So do you guys pick a word for the year? Have you guys ever done that? Like, heard of that? Like,
I did that last year.
did you? Yeah. Like, instead of like setting like New Year's resolutions, like we have for several years now, just like pick a word. Like, pray about it and ask God, like, okay, Lord, what word do you want me to think of through the year? So back in like 2022, when I was pregnant with Sam, my word was trust. And then I think last year my word was humility, which is still continuing on. I feel like we're going to carry that one out throughout the rest of my life. But this year, the word that I felt like God was speaking to me was surrender. So with that, I just, praying about it. I've been, just got done with a book called The Watchmaker's Daughter. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Corrie ten Boom. Have you? Okay. Well, she was, right, she lived during World War II, and she was in the Netherlands. Yes. And she, her family, she wasn't Jewish, but they hid Jews out, and she ended up getting sent to a concentration camp, and their family were strong Christians, and they just what they endured for the sake of others is so incredible. So if you guys ever are looking for a good book, I would say The Hiding Place, of like real Christians putting their faith in action and surrendering to God and His will for the good of others. It's truly one of my favorite books, and she's like one of my favorite kind of saints, really, one that's gone before. And anyway, so Watchmaker's Daughter is a biography. Hiding Place is an autobiography. This one's a biography. So I just got done with it. And I was telling Wade, I'm like, it's a book, it's a biography, but it has been just feeding me. I mean, God has just been using it to just to feed me. I mean, it's been like a Bible study for me. And a huge piece of that has been a surrendered life. And so with this word surrender, it's like, why do I try to hold on to things and try to control things that I really have no control over, when I know that freedom is found in surrender? I know that when I gain, Jim Elliott said, he is no fool to lose what he cannot keep, to gain what he cannot lose. And when I surrender my life, myself, my agenda, my plans to God, I know that His will is perfect, and the outcome, as painful it may be, like, pick your pain, right? Because it's like life is going to be painful, but it's like when I have that surrendered heart before Him, the blessings and the joy that come from that are so much greater than when I try to hold on to things and I try to control it. And as much as control, I think part of it for me is like big things, but it's not like I have a lot of big things necessarily always happen in life. I almost feel like what's harder for me to surrender to are the little things. It's hard for me to surrender to working on something, and husband and kids coming and needing something. And am I willing to die to self to serve someone else? Am I willing to surrender in that moment, say, okay, Lord, not my will, but your will be done. Like, help me to die to myself to love them, because that is the greater act, right? Not me getting something done, but the greater act of worship is to die to Amaia and to love someone else and to love God by loving them. So a couple scriptures I just wanted to share. The other thing that He's been speaking to me, so all that helps me keep perspective. And I feel like the root for me in that, like when I get annoyed or when I get frustrated and I want to self-promote, self-protect, self-preserve, is out of fear. Like, fear is my go-to. Like, it's a fear of like, not I'm scared, but it's a fear of like, how will I be perceived? If I don't get this done, how will I be perceived? So the opinions of others is really where, for me, a lot of fear is driven from. So a lot of my performance is driven from the approval of others, right? Unless My fear is placed, it says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So unless I place my fear in Jesus, going, okay, Lord, I put you in your rightful place, and I fear you, not, oh my gosh, I'm scared, but my awe and reverence is towards you, and my eyes are fixed on you versus man, versus myself. It puts everything in its rightful place, and it totally shifts my perspective. So I kind of want to go, I have several scriptures, and I just kind of want to go through them quickly. So it helps me with my perspective, and it helps me also recognize that it's not about me doing things for God, but it's about me staying in a relationship and doing things with God. I just heard that was a podcast we listened to, Wade, and it knocked my socks off. I'm like, oh my gosh, he wants to do it with me. It's not about me going and performing and, producing, like you said, Wade. It's not about me producing for God, but it's about me abiding in him and doing it with him. So ministry, parenting, being a wife is all about allowing God to do it through me and getting the privilege of doing it, being a part of what he's doing. So surrender, I believe this is in the Greek. I just got it's a Logos app, and so I've been trying to figure out how to use it, but is hupiku, and it's to yield or be weak. That sounds fun, doesn't it? To surrender, submit self. To yield or be weak. The first thing I thought of is when I am weak, then I am strong, because it's not me, but it's the Holy Spirit doing it through me. It's Jesus living in and through me. So that surrendered life, Lord, I can't do this. I have to have your power, your strength, your discipline doing it in and through me. So surrendering in those moments when my pride rises up. 1 Peter 5:6, humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, and in due time he will lift you up. Casting all your cares upon him, that's a place of surrender, right? A place of humility, because he cares for you. This is like, I keep trying to pick up other life verses, and God just keeps bringing me back to this one. There's so many others that I love and I'm drawn to, but the fact that surrendering for me, casting my cares upon him, is a literal act of humility. When I place myself under the lordship, under the King, and say, okay, Lord, I'm casting my cares upon you. I'm giving you these things that I have no control over, that are burdening me. I'm casting those upon you. That in itself is putting him on his throne and putting me flat on my face in my rightful place. That is an act of surrender. Isaiah 28 through 31. So for me, a huge part of surrender is recognizing who God is. So when I am struggling, and Wade and I have talked about this as far as gratitude. Gratitude puts you in a perspective of elevating God, right? Praise and worship. He says he inhabits the praise of his people. Another thing for me is the fear of the Lord is something that gives me such it is such a place of peace for me when I think about how big God is. And it says, do not fear man who can hurt your body, but fear the one who can condemn your soul, right? But that is not the God with rightful understanding of God's character and his great love for us. For me, it is such a place of rest and reassurance and refuge. It's like, Lord, you are bigger than all my problems. You are bigger than all my faults. You are bigger than all my mistakes, all my sin. Your blood covered it all. Your love is so much bigger than anything I could ever grasp. So for me, when I am struggling or I'm in a rut, if I can place my eyes on God and get a right perspective of his mightiness, of his strength, of how great and big he is, it really puts me in a place of peace. Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might, he increases strength. He's so merciful. It just I am undone when I have that recognition. Even youths shall faint and be weary, and young men shall fall exhausted. But they who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not grow faint. The other one I want to go to is Job. And that kind of might sound like a little depressing one, but this is one that I love to go to, and I need a good recognition of who God is. Job has been through hell on earth, right? He has lost everything, and now his friends circle around and tell him all the things he's done wrong, right? And he has stayed true. And then he starts to question, right? And and I didn't read all of Job, and I wish I would have, but I didn't. So back here at 35, Eliyahu, I guess that's how you say his name, says he condemns Job, okay? Because Job exalted, did I write it down? I hope I did. No, of course I didn't. There was a certain phrase I wanted to use that was very specific to why this young man called Job out. He kind of proclaimed his own strength, like his own faithfulness, like what he had done. And so Eliyahu's he condemns his friends, and then he tells Job basically, it's not you, Job, it's God. And he goes through about 5 chapters of proclaiming who God is. And he's a young man, and he said, I let all you older men talk because I thought, let the wise speak. But now I'm going to speak because it is bursting in me. And so I thought that was so powerful because you guys are so young. But God, he doesn't favor youth. I mean, older people just because of age. Your maturity in God and how far you want to go with him at this age of 20, 21, 19, I don't know. How old are you guys? 20. Okay, 20. That age is not does not prohibit you from being wise and mature in your faith. And so he says, I'm about ready to burst. Okay, he talks about it's like new wine coming into wineskins. Like if I don't speak, I will explode. And so he goes and he starts talking about the greatness of God and how powerful and his majesty. And then God answers Job. And this is another 3 or 4 chapters. And I won't go through the whole thing, but this is a place I go, guys, when I need to be reminded, when I've made my problem so much bigger than God, when I've made myself and my pride and my mistakes and my sins and my fears so much greater. Or maybe I've made just myself. I've elevated I pulled a little bit of a Job of good job, Amaia. You're doing super good here. Look at you. Because, oh man, I know when I get there, it's oh no, it's coming. I'm going to totally fall on my face. So there's just a few, over these chapters, there's a few things I want to read to you that really speak out to me. But it starts at 38. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, who is this that darkens counsel by the words without knowledge? Dressed for action like a man? I will question you, and you make it known to me. So here God's okay, I'll ask you questions. And now you get to answer who did these things. Where were you, Amaia, when I laid the foundations of the earth? So I'm going here and I'm having pity parties. I'm like, Lord, what are you doing? Da, da, da. And I feel like this is so convicting in the sweetest, most gracious, merciful way of who God is. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched out the line upon it? On what were the bases sunk? Or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy? Or who shut in the sea with doors when it burst out from the womb? When I made the clouds its garment. So now he answers, right? So here's God speaking. When I made the clouds its garment and thick darkness its swallowed band, and prescribed limits for it, and set bars and doors, and said, thus far shall you come and no further, and here shall your proud waves be stayed. Have you commanded the morning since your days began? No. No, I never have. And cause the dawn to know its place, that it might take hold of the skirts of the earth and the wicked be shaken out of it. It is changed like clay under the seal, and its features stand out like a garment. From the wicked their light is withheld, and their uplifted arm is broken. And he goes on and asks Job, did you do this? Did you do this? Has the rain, okay, can you bind the chains of Pilatus and loose the cords of Orion? Can you lead forth the Maseroth? I don't know star names very well. In their season, or can you guide the bear with its children? Do you know the ordinance of heaven? Can you establish their rule of the earth? Doesn't it give you goosebumps? If this is the same God who created something out of nothing, who has always been and always will be, he is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Can he not handle our failures, our mistakes, our fears, our future? Does he not have a plan in place? What is our job? Surrender. He calls us to surrender. Not my will, but your will be done. To not that, Lord, I don't want it to be me. I want it to be you living it through me. And then I gotta read you guys this one. And we're almost done. Do you give the horse its might? Do you clothe its neck with its mane? Do you make him leap like the locust? His majestic snorting is terrifying. Its paws in the valley and exults in its strength. He goes out to meet the weapons. He laughs at fear and is not dismayed. He does not turn back from the sword. Upon him rattle and quiver the flashing spear and the javelin. With fierceness and rage he swallows the ground. He cannot stand still on the sound of the trumpet. So it's a horse, a warrior, right? I mean, this is a warrior's horse. When the trumpet sounds, he says, aha, and he smells the battle from afar, the thunder of the captains and the shouting. Is it by your understanding that the hawk soars and spreads its wing over the south? Is it at your command that the eagle mounts up and makes his nest on high? On the rock he dwells and he makes his home, on the rocky crag and stronghold. From there he spies out the prey. His eyes behold it from afar. His young ones suck up blood. Where the slain are, there he is. And then Job says, I'm going to be quiet. I'm not going to say anymore. You are God. And it goes on, and God goes on and says all the things that he does, and he talks about roping the Leviathan. Can you rope a Leviathan? I thought you cowgirls would appreciate that. No, but our God can. He is able and he is good. Why would I want to think that I know better? That my way is better, because I have such short vision, right? I'm so nearsighted. I can only see right here. But it's so hard, but it's so freeing. It is where life is when we surrender to him and all that he has for us, and we trust him in the valley and on the mountaintop. So as I move into 2025, and it's going to be the best year ever, right? Well, I don't know what's going to come. And that is even a scary thing to say. But I want my heart to always be surrendered. I want to live a surrendered life to my God, because I know that is where life is. I know that's where true peace comes from, even when things are chaotic all around me. So that is my word for 2025. And I just hope that it encourages you guys, because yeah, that's where I'm at. So now we'll do a few minutes of round pending.